So Derek from moredates.com recently did a video talking about some Olympic runner who accidentally exposed how many athletes are doing steroids or performance enhancing drugs, which are not necessarily steroids. And he said it's a lot. And I think that maybe he was implying that people don't think that people do a lot of PEDs in sports, like Olympics and competition level sports. And I went through the comments section, and sure enough, that seems to be the general consensus among sports fans, is that the athletes they like don't do performance enhancing drugs. That is laughable to me. So the thought that athletes, top tier athletes in sports, aren't doing performance enhancing drugs and are just getting by on good diet and exercise and recovery, like, really? Yeah, those fans must be telling themselves that because the fans have whichever athlete they adore, and they want to think, oh, that athlete's not doing anything that I would consider wrong or immoral. That athlete is competing fairly in my eyes. Therefore, I can look up to that athlete as some sort of role model or hero or whatever. It would probably not do so well for many sports fans if they were to acknowledge the fact that most of the athletes, if not all of the athletes that they follow and adore, are doing drugs, like performance enhancing drugs. Like, let's say, for example, that I'm following basketball and I'm really into LeBron James. I'm a huge LeBron James fan. I would probably want to tell myself, LeBron James is not doing any drugs. LeBron James is totally natural. But everyone else that LeBron James is competing against, they're all doing drugs. But LeBron James, he's not doing drugs. I like LeBron James. And he's beating the people that he's competing against. And he's not doing drugs, and they're doing drugs. That makes LeBron James even better. I'm so great for liking LeBron James. LeBron James is so awesome. Okay, now, I don't follow basketball at all. I just know that LeBron James is a famous basketball player. But my point is that sports fans don't want to think that the athletes that they like are doing performance-enhancing drugs, really drugs in general. Just like how in Hollywood, people who go and watch movies don't want to think about the fact that the male actors cast for superhero roles do all sorts of drugs to get buff and swole and cut and all that for their roles. And there's this meme in Hollywood, chicken, broccoli, and rice, bro. How'd you get so buff and jacked and beefy, bro, in such a short amount of time, bro? Oh yeah, I just ate chicken, broccoli, and rice. Okay, well, it is true that you could just eat chicken and broccoli and rice, and you probably would put on a lot of muscle. And if you exercised and took in less calories than you were expending, then you would probably lose some fat and you would get somewhat swole. But in the amount of time that the actors do it in Hollywood, it's not doable without steroids. So that was just a tangent, but the point I'm making is that the demands on athletes in top tier sports are so high that I don't even really believe it's enough to be superhuman anymore. Because if you select for sports competition out of hundreds of thousands or even millions of people in a country, you are going to get superhuman genetic freaks who have amazing genetics. Genetics falls into a bell curve. You're going to have the majority of the population is going to be reasonably average in whatever performance metric you want to choose, like breathing rate, jump height, run speed, grip strength, whatever. Most people are going to fall into some bell curve average distribution for their age and gender and whatever. But you're always going to get outliers on these bell curves, outliers on both sides. You're going to get people that are abnormally weak, and you're also going to get some people that are abnormally strong. I think I lie in the middle of the bell curve somewhere. I'm just a normal person. I'm not blessed, and I'm not cursed. I just have normal talent. But the athletes that compete in the Olympics and high-level sports teams, they're probably on the higher end of the bell curve, and a lot of them are probably in the top of the bell curve, the distribution. But even so, even if you're at the top of the bell curve, you can't compete at the top level of these sports anymore unless you do performance enhancing drugs. Take cycling, for example. People say that if Neil Armstrong's what happened? They like revoked the cyclist Neil Armstrong's award because he was found to have done drugs. They ran his blood through some sort of doping analysis after the race, and they determined with new techniques that were formed after the initial tests before the race that, oh hey, he was on drugs. Well, what they don't ever say is that if you wanted to find someone in that race that Neil Armstrong competed in to give the award to fairly, so someone who wasn't doing any performance enhancing drugs, well, I think it was something like the top 18 or the top 21 competitors of the race that Neil was in, they were all doping and on performance enhancing drugs. So it's not like you could just take Neil Armstrong's first place medal and give it to the second place cyclist or the third place cyclist. No, you would have to go through 18 or 21 or however many cyclists it was, the top 20, whatever, before you could even hope to find somebody that was natural and not using performance enhancing drugs. And that's unlikely. It was probably more than the top 20 that were using drugs. And that was in a cycling competition decades ago. My point is, everyone in the top levels of sports is doing some kind of performance enhancing drug. Now, if you're not familiar with performance enhancing drugs, newsflash, there are tons of different types of performance enhancing drugs. I don't know them all. I don't know any of them. I'm not like Derek. I don't really care about this stuff. I take a performance enhancing drug. It's called creatine. It's the most studied performance enhancing drug after protein powder, which isn't really even a drug or a performance enhancing drug. It's just food. Protein powder is just food. And your body creates, I think, like 1 gram of creatine a day naturally. I take 5 grams a day. If I were to stop taking the creatine, my body would immediately start creating the 1 gram a day again. It's got to be the most harmless performance enhancing drug there is, creatine. So that makes me feel safe using it, and it's not illegal, although I don't really respect the law, but it helps that it's not illegal. I can easily buy it on Amazon. Lots of people take creatine, and the reason I take it is for recovery, because the thing I care the most about is being able to do the sport that I love as much as I can. And so if I can take something that's safe and studied and effective to help me recover so I can do more of the sport that I like, that I love to do, then yeah, I'll do it. And that brings me to the point that I want to make for this video. Like I said at the start of this video, Derek was implying that people are under some sort of misconception that athletes are not doing performance enhancing drugs, that athletes must be all natural, natty. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm natty, I'm natural, and it sucks. It doesn't suck, but it could be better. A significant portion of the calculus that goes into me doing the sport that I love is directed at minimizing damage to my body. And I'm not doing like judo where I'm getting punched and literally damaged. No, I like to run. I'm a runner. I run 10 plus hours a week, and I run 60 miles most weeks. My record is 90. Sometimes I break 70. For the last few months, the issue I've been running into is that if I run more than 17 miles in a day in one run, or if I run 20 miles in a day split over 2 runs for more than maybe like 2 days in a row, or if I try to break 70 miles in a week total, these are all different ways of just kind of like hitting my weekly mileage limit threshold, whatever. I start getting like an overuse injury behind my knee. So I need to see a sports physician or doctor or whatever to figure out like what's going wrong there after the 70 mile mark, the 17 and a half mile in a single run mark, etc. And I mean, you look at my body, this is not the body of a top tier athlete. The six pack, non-existent. The arms, not big. I'm a scrawny, mouse-shaped dude. You can tell I'm not a top tier athlete. I could be putting in so much more work and effort. But I'll tell you, every day I look forward to my run. And there are so many runs that I do where I think, man, if only I could stay out here another hour. I'll say to myself, better only run, 6 or 7 miles today, because if you overdo it today, you might get an overuse injury, or you might get an overuse injury tomorrow if you overdo it today. I have to basically budget the amount of time that I can run. Not because I don't have enough time in the day. I have enough time in the day. I only work 8 hours a day. I only commute for like an hour, and that's if I'm even commuting and not working from home. I have the weekend. No, it's simply a simple matter of my body can only take so much punishment. And when I run, I'm punishing my body. I love it. It makes me happy. I really enjoy running. I just get out there. The 3-hour runs, the best. After about half an hour, I get that runner's high. And then sometimes I'll just take out my headphones and just listen to the world. And I'll look at the sky like some stoner or whatever. I just love it. It makes me so happy. I love running. I wish I could do it more. And newsflash, if I took performance-enhancing drugs, I'll bet you I could do it more. I'll bet you instead of 10 hours a week, I could probably notch it up to 11, maybe way more. I've been chronically dieting and exercising for a year, and I still look like this. Does this look like the kind of body that you would expect to have if you chronically dieted and exercised for a year? Do you think if you chronically dieted and exercised for a year, you would have a body like this? Well, hey, maybe you'd have a better body. I know for certain there's so many more things I could be doing better and I could have been doing better. I fell off the rails now and then. Definitely, I am not some model of willpower and perfection. I have made so many mistakes. I continue to make mistakes. I could do things better. But here's the thing. You're not perfect either. No one's perfect. Not everyone is that Groggins dude with the beastly, inhuman willpower. I think if you compare me to most people, I probably come out on the higher end in terms of like discipline and willpower. It's probably because I'm borderline. I'm probably on the spectrum for autism. Probably. I never got diagnosed, but let's say I am. Well, I'll bet you if I am that one of my like fixations is just like dieting and running. I just love it so much. It's probably not normal. I run, like I said, I run a lot. Like, can you tell me a sport that you've ever done in your whole life where you did it 10 hours a week? I mean, that's a lot for running. Running is an extreme sport. It puts your body under extreme stress. 10 hours of running is not the same as 10 hours of cycling. 10 hours of running would probably be like 15 or 20 hours of cycling. 10 hours of running is not the same as 10 hours of baseball. Okay, running, you are every step, you're beating your body into submission. It's you don't get a break. I don't stop during my runs. I run nonstop. I don't take breaks. I run on mountains. I run down mountains. I run on dirt trails. I run over rocks. I fall. I catch my fall. I've been bloodied before. I race mountain bikers. Okay, this ain't no. I ain't walking in the park. When I say I run for 10 hours a week, I'm not. Like lightly walking around. I'm going ham, okay? I run hard. I run so hard that my body can't take it at times, okay? And like I said, I've been running a year, all right? So before you say, oh wow, this dude, look at his gross body. He didn't run so hard. He didn't diet so hard. No. Let me see you do better. I know there's a million people on Instagram and a million people on YouTube and the internet who look a million times better than me, right? But if you take into account the fact that that's actually a very tiny amount of people in the world, there are hardly any people that actually go on YouTube and Instagram and social media and make social media content about this kind of thing. And when you go onto these platforms, you're inundated with their accounts and content which would mislead you into thinking that anyone could do it. And I mean, I don't want to dissuade you. And like I said, I could be doing such a better job. I could be eating less. I could be eating a higher ratio of protein. I could be exercising more willpower. I had an extra bowl of non-fat, sugar-free Jell-O tonight just because I wanted to chew on something. I was already full and I already had enough protein per day. Do you calculate the amount of grams of protein you need per pound of body mass? Do you know about the optimal protein per lean body mass ratios? I'll bet you don't. I'll bet you think you need 1 to 2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Guess what? That is totally inaccurate. Do you get 40 to 80 grams of fiber a day? Do you watch your nutrients like iron and potassium and magnesium? Have you done fasting? Have you done all the shit that I've done? Probably not. So again, no, I don't look great, but I certainly look better than I did a year ago. And I think I probably do look better than the majority of Americans when you take into account the fact that the majority of Americans are obese. And I think by 2030, something like a third of Americans are going to have diabetes. Diabetes.
Have you or a loved one suffered diabetes?
Anyway. The point is that I love running. I love running so much. And I would run more if I could. I'm at the point now where there are no quick gains anymore. I don't really think there's anything I can do that's gonna make me have a sudden jump in monthly mileage. I've studied runners. I have books on runners. I joined a running team. I consume running content. And I've been doing this for a year. And I know that college level runners, cross-country college runners, will hit 120 miles a week, maybe 110 to 120. Olympic level cross-country runners might hit 140. Ultramarathoners can hit that. And it goes down from there. When you get to like high school athlete levels, it's like, I don't know, 70 to 90. I'm kind of pulling these numbers out of thin air, but it tops out around like 110, 120. Even when you get to the Olympics, they don't really go beyond 110 or 120 miles per week. Now, I'm like 30 something, and I've only been running for a year, and I've only been running every day for like half a year. And like I said, I mean, look at my body. Obviously, I could probably be doing so much better, right? And I'm not really cross-training anymore. There's like so much I could be doing. But I'm at 60 miles a week right now. I'm at half of what Olympic level runners do right now. Now, you know, half. It's only half. Wow. Only half. I mean, yeah, it is only half, but you try running 60 miles a week. It's a lot. And those Olympic level runners, they're 110 or 120 miles a week. It's not like twice of what I do. It's like 4 or 10 times as much as what I do. Because they run at faster speeds, and they sprint. They sprint. They do drills. So I'm just insulting myself and saying I do even less by saying that the Olympic runners, not only do they do like double the mileage that I do, but they do, you know, double or more the intensity that I do. I guess what I'm trying to say is that even though I'm doing so much, there's so much more that I could be doing. And even though I could be doing so much more, I'm already doing more than pretty much everyone I know and almost everyone I work with. There's like one triathlete at my company who probably does more than me, and he's like 2/3 my age. I've got like a decade on him, and he's been training for years more than I have. I mean, the cards are stacked against me, and so I'm fighting an uphill battle, and I'm already doing way more than many people in the same situation that I'm in are doing or even would think to do. And I'm running into the limitations of my body. Now again, I could be stretching more. I could be doing resistance training. I could be getting better sleep. I could be dieting even harder. I'm sure if I lost another 10 or 15 pounds, which I could lose like probably 15 pounds and go down to 10% body fat, my hormones would still be mostly in balance. I still would probably be like healthy. It wouldn't be detrimental to like my organs or anything like that. Yeah, I'd probably be hungrier all the time, which I'm already having trouble dealing with the hunger levels that I have all the time as is. I talked to some of my acquaintances or friends or coworkers or whatever, and I said, like, basically, I'm paraphrasing. I said, you mean you guys don't feel hungry all the time and have to like constantly stop yourselves from eating? Like, that's me, and this is what I look like. So if you also don't have a six pack and you're entertaining fantasies of getting one, just know you're gonna have to best this guy. You're gonna have to best me when it comes to, I don't know, some combination of willpower and determination and discipline for working out and getting sleep in and eating right and blah 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 blah. So when Derek says, "Oh, it's so surprising that so many people are doing performance enhancing drugs," imagine if the thing that you love more than anything else, imagine if a pill or a shot or whatever could help you do it more. Why wouldn't you do it? Because of risks? I mean, okay, here lies the point of misunderstanding. If you're not an athlete, then you would think that the risks associated with taking some illegal performance enhancing drug would reign supreme and stop you. You'd say, oh, the risks are so high, I don't want to get caught, or I don't want to have my genitals shrivel up, I don't want to grow breasts, I don't want to this, I don't want to that, like whatever's associated with performance enhancing drugs. If you're not an athlete who absolutely loves the sport to the point of looking forward to it every day and doing as much as humanly possible, like practically humanly possible, if you're not that kind of person, then you might consider the risks associated with performance enhancing drugs as prohibitive and too costly to pay that price to take those drugs. But if you do love your sport and you do it so much that you've run into the rock hard walls of the limitations of your human body, and you only have two choices: stay stuck at that wall forever knowing that things will only deteriorate and get worse as you age and decline in physical performance, or take some kind of drug or concoction of drugs that will propel you past the wall of your human ability into who knows what higher levels of performance you could achieve. Yeah, you might die younger. Maybe your genitals will turn silly or whatever. Maybe you'll grow breasts. Maybe your voice will shrink. Maybe you'll get angsty and have anger attacks. Maybe the authorities will discover that you're breaking the law or breaking the sport competition rules and you'll be disbarred or whatever. But those are all things that happen in the future. What you care about as a sports-loving athlete who loves their sport above almost anything else, what you care about is just being able to do your sport more. You don't even care about the competition. You don't even care about the fame or any of that. You just love the sport. See, this is what I think people don't understand. I think people that aren't athletes, like real athletes who love what they do, I don't think they understand this. I think you can only understand this if you do it yourself. Is that I'm not in some competition. I'm not on a team that's competing, or rather I am, but I don't compete. I haven't even run with them in a few months because of the cold season. But I don't have any of the incentives. No money, no fame. I'm beyond all that now. I'm too old. I don't have any of those incentives. I only just love my sport and want to do it more. That's the only thing I have that would make me want to take performance enhancing drugs. And I'm telling you, that alone is making me simply a 1-year runner, basically middle-aged at this point. The love for running alone has made me reconsider my stances on PEDs. Now, I still am not going to do PEDs because I personally, for my own self, think the price is too high. But I'm just, the reason I'm making this video is to put the point forward for your consideration that if I have changed a lot of my thinking about performance enhancing drugs simply because I love the sport so much that I do. How do you think that top tier athletes who go on television or compete in the Olympics or whatever feel about it? Do you think they don't love the sport they do? Do you think LeBron James doesn't love his sport? Do you think Michael Phelps doesn't love swimming? No, they have to love what they do. No one gets that good without enjoying the sport that they're doing. You can't put in the dozens of hours a week that basically consumes your life, levels of training and commitment. You have to put aside like everything in your life for the sport that you do. You can't pollute your body with the wrong kinds of drugs. You can't stay up too late and screw your sleep up. You can't miss your training schedule. If you do any of these things, you run the risk of becoming uncompetitive. If you want to stay competitive at the top of your sport, you have to train like crazy all the time. Football players train like crazy all the time, even though football season is only a portion of the year, because they have to keep their bodies in peak condition. Every sport is like this. And so they love it. They have to love it. I love my sport, and I just do it casually. I work full time. I have other responsibilities and goals in life. I'm not a professional athlete, and I love it so much that I would consider taking PEDs. I'm not going to do it, but I've definitely thought, about the calculus of it, and I've personally judged for myself that it's not worth it. It's not worth the risks and the consequences. But it wouldn't take that much more my life would not have to be that different for me to answer that question about PEDs with a positive rather than a negative. And I'm pretty sure that if I was some college level athlete or post college level training for the Olympics, and I was able to do PEDs undetected, which is what Derek from moreplatesmoredates.com was talking about. He was talking about how all these athletes have found ways to basically take performance enhancing drugs without getting detected by microdosing and using drugs that haven't really been that detection procedures have not been developed for yet, and other various techniques. It's a game of cat and mouse, right? Every time that the rules committees for these various sports come up with detection mechanisms to detect various performance enhancing drugs in their athletes, the athletes just get together with their doctors and whoever else is helping them out, and they come up with ways to get around the existing performance enhancing drug detection procedures. And then so they come up with some new way to dope or whatever, and then the rules committees come up with a way to catch it, and it's just a cycle. It's like an arms race, but for performance enhancing drugs. They're all doing it. It's basically an open secret in the sports world. So it's just it's almost insulting to me. It's almost insulting to me to know that most people who aren't athletes, which is most people, think that top tier athletes aren't doing drugs, because it kind of diminishes the perceived amount of commitment and discipline and willpower and effort and dedication that athletes have to put into their sport. And these people, these top tier athletes, they are pushing their bodies to the limits of human capability and then hitting those limits. And then they personally take the risks of performance enhancing drugs and all of the social and legal and physical consequences that come along with them. And they take those and they go to the next level to push themselves to the next level, to do the sports they love, and also probably win, which is unfair, but they're all doing it, and you can't really make them stop. You can try. They're going to come up with another way. I've heard a lot of people say we should just make it allowed, make steroids allowed, put them all on roids. No, I don't think that's the right approach either, because then things would really get crazy. But just people thinking that athletes don't do performance enhancing drugs is such a it's not an entitled, opinion, entitled is not the right word. It's an ignorant opinion. It's ignorance. It is sheer ignorance. And I personally think that everyone should do some sort of athleticism, because I think the world would be a better place if everyone was a little bit more like me and anyone else who goes and exercises every day. We wouldn't have so much obesity and diabetes and depression and back pain and bone pain and whatever. Lots of doctors would be put out of business because of the reduction in the amount of people that need our medical system. Deaths from all sorts of diseases would plummet because excessive weight is a comorbidity for all sorts of diseases and causes of mortality. Not only do you increase your mortality or whatever, your lifespan, by exercising, but you also hit a higher quality life. You're going to be happier all the time, and you're going to have better memories. I know I love running up in the mountains, in the fog, in the trees, much more than sitting on my couch watching YouTube. I got Elden Ring the other day, but I don't even want to play it because I'd rather be running or reading science fiction. That's more engrossing to me. If you don't feel this way, if you've never felt this way, then you're ignorant. You're ignorant. You are ignorant. You need to go do sports, get outside, work out and exercise to the point, you need to put so much of yourself into some sort of athletic endeavor that you too, just like me, can gain a love for the sport that you do. And when you've gotten to the point where you love your sport so much that you do it so much that you run into your own personal physical limits of your body, then you come to me and you tell me you wouldn't do performance enhancing drugs. Now, I know I'm saying I wouldn't do them, and I'm guessing you wouldn't do them either, but tell me your stance hasn't changed. Whatever your stance is now on performance enhancing drugs, go put everything you have into some sport for a year like I did. Become much better at that sport than you were, like I did. And push yourself to the point where you consistently, month after month after month, keep running into the same walls, knowing that you only have 3 options. Stay stuck at that stubborn wall, wanting to do more, but you can't. Put in a crazy amount of more time and effort to do resistance training and sleep work and agility exercises and whatever the heck that you would need to do to take your body another 10 or 20% higher in performance. Or you just pop a pill from some drug dealer at a gym or something. Tell me you wouldn't have different opinions and thoughts. Maybe it's still, no, I wouldn't do the drugs. And yes, it's still too much work to do all the exercises and all that stuff. But let's say you were like 100% no on the drugs and 90% no on the exercises and resistance training and all that at the start. And then after a year, after you've put everything that you have into your sport and you can't do anymore because your body is just stopping you every time and you want to do more but you can't, tell me you're still not 100% no on the performance enhancing drugs and 90% no on the stretches and the resistance training and all that stuff. I know for me, the numbers have changed and I'm still not going to do the drugs and I'm still not going to probably start doing resistance training and agility exercises right now. But another half a year of these stupid overuse injuries and my body just like not being able to do more when I want to do more, yeah, eventually I'm gonna have to start doing other kinds of supplementary training and exercises and come up with some kind of strategy, because I can't do 1 3-hour run a week. It's not enough. Like I have to be able to do like 2-3 hour runs a week. I want to be able to run like do a 4-hour run every week. I want to be able to run more. I want to be able to run a marathon every week. I'm kind of close, and I just can't. My body is stopping me, and it's so frustrating. And if you've not been here, you don't understand. You don't understand how frustrating it is
the thing I love more than almost anything else, and I can't do more of it because my stupid human body is stopping me. You know, maybe if I was younger, maybe if I had better genetics, maybe if I did a performance-enhancing drug. So people who think that athletes don't do performance-enhancing drugs, get out of here, you couch potatoes. You ignorant couch potatoes. Just get out of here and come back when you've gotten into some sports.